trip with my girlfriend to Thailand gone wrong. My girlfriend was standing in a Thai police station at 11 at night, completely soaked, holding her sandals in one hand, telling an officer she wanted it on record that I was, and I'm quoting her directly here, the worst travel partner alive. And somehow, out of everything that happened that week, that still wasn't the worst moment of the trip. Let me walk you through exactly how a relaxing beach holiday turned into the most chaotic 7 days of our relationship. It started normally enough. We booked through one of those flash deal travel sites, the kind with a countdown timer that makes you feel like you're missing out on the deal of a lifetime if you take more than 4 minutes to decide. Flights, a beach resort, transfers, all bundled together for a price that should have worried me immediately. It did not worry me immediately. It worried me about 36 hours later, which is the exact moment we arrived at the resort, and the front desk had absolutely no record of our booking. In the weeks leading up to the trip, we'd done all the things you're supposed to do. Packing lists, a shared spreadsheet neither of us actually updated, a Pinterest board full of beach outfits that none of us ended up wearing because it rained more than either of us expected. My girlfriend had packed an entire separate bag just for content, her words, full of outfits, specifically for photos, which felt excessive at the time and which, by day 3, I would come to deeply respect as the only correctly planned part of this entire trip. Here's the part where things start sliding sideways, and it happens faster than either of us expected. The booking site, it turned out, had sold us a reservation that technically existed in their system, but not in the hotel's system, which is apparently a thing that can just happen. The front desk staff were lovely about it, genuinely. But lovely doesn't get you a room at midnight when the resort is fully booked for an actual wedding happening that weekend. We ended up in a smaller guest house down the road, the kind with a fan instead of air conditioning, and a shower that was, generously, a hose attached to the wall. My girlfriend looked at me with an expression I will remember for the rest of my life, somewhere between disappointment and a question about why she had agreed to date me in the first place. This is the part where I need you to comment below, because I want to know if your dream vacation booking turned out to not actually exist when you landed. Would you have stayed calm and figured it out like we did? Or would you have lost it completely at the front desk? Because I was very close to losing it completely. We laughed it off the next morning, mostly because we had no other choice, and decided the trip could still be saved with a classic move, renting scooters to explore the coastline. I want to be honest with you about something. I had never driven a scooter before in my life. I told the rental guy I had experience. I did not have experience. I had watched videos. For the first 20 minutes, things actually went fine, which in hindsight should have made me suspicious, because nothing on this trip was allowed to go fine for more than 20 minutes. We were riding along this beautiful coastal road, my girlfriend behind me filming the view for her own vlog-style memory video, and I decided, for absolutely no good reason, that this was the moment to wave at a group of tourists on the side of the road. With one hand. While turning, on a scooter, I had 2 hours of total experience driving. I did not crash dramatically. I want to be clear about that, because I know where your mind is going. I clipped the edge of a curb at low speed, the scooter tipped, and we both ended up sliding gently into a patch of grass next to a fruit stand, which is somehow a less dignified way to fall than just falling normally. The fruit stand owner ran over more concerned about his fruit display than about either of us, which, looking back, was the correct order of priorities because the fruit display did not survive, and we mostly did. My girlfriend had a scraped knee. I had a scraped pride and a dent in the scooter that the rental shop later charged us an amount of money I am still not emotionally prepared to discuss. Returning that scooter was its own small ordeal, the rental guy walking around it, slowly, running his hand over the dent like a doctor examining a wound, sighing in a way that communicated more disappointment than any amount of Thai or English ever could. We negotiated the damage fee for a solid 10 minutes using a calculator app, both of us typing numbers back and forth at each other like we were settling an international treaty, before landing on a price that still felt like a personal insult. We spent the next 2 hours at a small local clinic, getting her knee cleaned and bandaged, while I sat in the waiting area trying to explain to her in real time why I thought waving with one hand was a reasonable decision. I did not have a good answer then. I do not have a good answer now. We thought that was the low point. It was not the low point. That night, still riding the adrenaline of the crash, I decided the appropriate response was to be brave and try the spiciest street food stall near our guest house, the kind with a line of locals out front, which every travel video tells you is supposed to be a good sign. It was for the food. It was not a good sign for me specifically. By 2 in the morning, I was regrettably acquainted with every feature of that guest house's bathroom, while my girlfriend sat outside the door, half asleep, half laughing, asking through the door if I had learned anything yet. I had learned several things. None of them made me feel better in the moment. The next morning I looked, by her description, like a ghost who had personally offended. Another ghost. And we spent half the day just letting my stomach recover in the room, watching badly dubbed local television, while she went out alone to get us both coffee and came back with a story about a stray cat that had followed her for 6 blocks, which honestly sounded like a better morning than mine. Here's where the trip should have gotten better, and for about a day, it actually did. We spent a full day just lying on the beach, no scooters, no street food gambles, just sun and bad jokes about my driving skills. It was genuinely the best day of the trip. We rented a couple of plastic chairs from a guy who definitely did not have a license to rent chairs, ate overpriced grilled corn, and watched my girlfriend attempt to take the exact same sunset photo 11 times because the lighting was, in her words, almost perfect each time. I want you to remember that this calm existed because it is about to become extremely relevant. That evening, we went to a night market, the big, sprawling kind with food stalls and stray cats, and 1,000 identical phone cases for sale. We were having a great time, eating things we couldn't identify, when my girlfriend set her bag down on a stall counter for maybe 10 seconds to take a photo. 10 seconds. When she turned back around, the bag was gone. Not stolen, as it turned out, though we spent a genuinely terrifying 20 minutes assuming it was stolen. A nearby vendor had accidentally bundled it together with a stack of delivery bags meant for a different stall further down the market, the kind of mix-up that happens constantly in a place that crowded. But we did not know that yet. What we knew was that her passport, her wallet, and her phone were all inside that bag, somewhere in a market with approximately 400 identical stalls. We retraced our steps, stall by stall, asking anyone who would make eye contact with us, in a mix of English and the 4 Thai phrases we had collectively learned over the trip, none of, which were useful for, have you seen a stolen/misplaced bag? One vendor thought. We were asking about phone cases. Another thought was that we wanted directions to a different market entirely. At one point, my girlfriend just held up an empty hand and mimed the shape of the bag in the air, which got us a surprising number of sympathetic nods and 0 actual leads. This is the part where I need to ask you something, because I think about it constantly. If you lost your passport and your wallet in a foreign country, in a crowd that size, would you have stayed at the market searching stall by stall like we did, or gone straight to find help first? Because we debated this exact decision standing in the middle of that market, panicking for what felt like forever. We eventually flagged down market security, who flagged down actual police, which is how we ended up at a police station at 11 at night, my girlfriend soaked from a sudden downpour that started exactly while we were standing outside waiting for an officer, holding her now ruined sandals, telling that officer, on record, that I was the worst travel partner alive. In fairness to her, I had suggested, helpfully, that maybe she shouldn't have set the bag down at all, which was the single worst thing I could have said in that moment, and I knew it the second it left my mouth. The officer taking our report was remarkably patient given the circumstances, filling out forms, while my girlfriend periodically interrupted to add new evidence against my character. To the record, most of it accurate. At one point he asked, very seriously, if there was anything else missing from the bag. And she said, without missing a beat, just my faith in his decision-making, which made even the officer laugh, breaking his very professional composure for a solid 3 seconds before he caught himself and went back to filling out the form. Here's the insight that actually resolved everything, and it's almost annoyingly simple. The police officer, who had clearly seen this exact situation 100 times before, radioed a few other market security contacts, and within about 15 minutes, the bag turned up, fully intact, sitting with a vendor 3 stalls down who had been holding onto it the entire time, mildly confused about why nobody had come to claim it sooner. He'd assumed it belonged to a regular customer who would eventually wander back, and had simply set it behind his counter for safekeeping, completely unaware that 2 foreigners were currently filing a police report 2 streets away over the exact same bag. Passport, wallet, and phone. All there, the phone battery slightly lower than we left it, but otherwise untouched. The entire crisis, start to finish, traced back to a bag getting picked up alongside the wrong delivery. We walked out of that police station at close to midnight, soaked, exhausted, and somehow laughing, because the only thing left to do at that point was laugh. My girlfriend looked at me and said this was officially the worst and somehow the most memorable trip we'd ever taken, which I have chosen to interpret as a compliment. We got back to the guest house, ordered overpriced room service noodles at 1 in the morning, and replayed the entire week out. Loud to each other, start to finish, the fake booking, the scooter, the food poisoning, the bag, all of it, and somehow by the time we finished talking, it had already turned into the version of the story we still tell people today, the one where it sounds funnier than it actually felt in the moment. So here's what I actually want to know from you, because I think about this trip more than I probably should. If your vacation included a fake hotel booking, a scooter crash into a fruit stand, a night of food poisoning, and a lost passport that ended in a midnight police station, would you have called it the worst trip of your life? Or would you have come home, like we did, calling it your favorite one? If you like stories like this, the kind where everything that can go wrong somehow does, and somehow it's still funny looking back once enough time has passed, go ahead and subscribe, because there are a lot more of these coming, and trust me, this was not the only trip of ours that ended up here.